Download the BCSN Plus app today. Local sports all the time. Visit bcsnnation.com for details. Discounts may apply.
Whether he's on the mic for the Mud Hens or the Walleye, Matt Melzak's voice is synonymous with sports here in Toledo. Now, he's a staple in the BCSN studio on Mondays, but today, Matt Melzak joins Greg Franke to take a walk down memory lane in this edition of Looking Back.
And welcome back to another edition of BCSN's Looking Back. And we are going to go down memory lane today with Toledo hockey. Of course, the Toledo Walleye continue to provide great thrills. But Matt Melzak, you were with the Toledo Storm way back in the sports arena days, and that was a really beloved institution in Toledo, and we're going to have a good time maybe talking about some of those days. That's what was happening when BCSN began.
Yeah. Matter of fact, right away, the first Storm game was ever on BCSN. I was there calling, and certainly remember, when we kind of got that started, it was a lot of fun to all of a sudden, hey, here's the sports arena, bring it to life on television. And I think it was really cool to see how we were able to do that production. I still remember we pulled the trailer in basically into the Riverdome Lounge back there and had it set up in the back, and Denny ran all the cables, had everything set to go, and I got to actually sit down with him instead of being up in the hanging press box in the sky at the old sports arena, the trailer in the sky as we used to call it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I have some great memories off of those days.
Yeah, and it was one of the big things when we started. Obviously, we were going to cover the high schools, but we really wanted to cover the top sports in Toledo, and getting the Mud Hens on and getting the Walleye on was a very high priority, and we were very happy to be able to do that right from the outset. And they had some great teams, and came pretty close to making some long playoff runs during those years.
Yeah, matter of fact, I remember it would have been the 2005-2006 season where the team ended up in the conference finals, taking on, and then now known as Atlanta. The Atlanta Gladiators was then known as the Gwinnett Gladiators, and went down there and won a double overtime game in Game 2 to even the series at 1. Came home where the team only lost, I think, 4 games all year on home ice at the sports arena, because it was such a tough place to win when you were a visiting team, and turned around and lost all 3 to Gwinnett. It was you couldn't fathom it. I remember riding the bus back up from Atlanta and thinking to myself, man, we got a game in Georgia. This is perfect. Like, we're going to win at least 2 out of 3 at home, not with how good we've been at home. And yet, sure enough, turned out they won all 3. They went on to the finals, ended up losing, I think, that year to Alaska. But it was a great time.
Well, you jumped right into that, and you had graciously allowed me to be part of that with the radio broadcast that year. And I have to say, I love that press box. I mean, just looking down, and it's like you had to watch out for flying pucks when you were there, but it was so great to feel like you were almost right on the ice.
Let's put it this way. I used to say it all the time back in those days. If you can't call a game if you can't call it at the sports arena, because you're on top of everything. You can't miss anything because of the fact of where you were stationed at center ice. All you had to do was kind of lean out, maybe a little bit just to see the ends, not quite very far, actually. It was a better spot. The old Johnstown building, the Cambria County War Memorial there, you used to have to lean way out to see in the corners because of where the press box was, but it was built by the same group. So they were basically the same building. But, I mean, all you had to do was just kind of lean forward a little bit, and you could just call the game. And, if you couldn't do a game there, you were going to struggle in every building ever, because that was maybe the easiest setup of all time.
I just loved it. It almost made you feel like you were playing in the game almost.
100%. And you're right. Pucks would come flying up that way. Somebody just misses one a little bit, and all of a sudden you're, whoa.
Because you're leaning out trying to see what's on the end, and you'd be in the line of fire sometimes.
Absolutely. And you know what? I can still remember the wall behind you there that had some marks in it.
Yeah,
from
a lot
pucks
of them
coming up there and flashing in behind you and hitting the wall behind you. Man, you had to be alert. You had to be on your toes, but it was easy to call a game there.
I remember, too, you're talking about that playoff year and thinking the same thing. Hey, that nobody ever beats them in Toledo. They tied that series 1. We're going to be in the Kelly Cup Finals.
Yeah.
I really felt that. I was shocked when they lost 3 games in a row, but it was so much fun because they won the first 2 series and the momentum was building and the excitement was there. There was a real sense that team was maybe going to go all the way.
I think the one thing, if I remember correct, Mike James got hurt in Game 2 down there, and he was such a key part of that group with Chris Blight, And those two just worked so well together. Brack and Kearns at the center spot, and it just, that line was just so strong. And then when he got hurt in Game 2, the double overtime win down in Gwinnett, it just kind of changed the lineup a little bit, and it made it to the point where it made it easier for Gwinnett to play against us, and that's part of the reason why I think we ended up ultimately failing there in that series. But it was a great playoff run.
It was fun.
Because you
had
had
playoff hockey all the way.
You had the Drew McIntyre winning a game in Toronto for Grand Rapids, getting in a car, driving to Wheeling when we were down 2-1 in a best-of-5 series, and winning Game 4 there, winning Game 5 at home to advance to the conference finals. So, some great memories in that playoff run.